Good evening, everybody, and welcome to this evening's winter weather update. So, Winter Storm Cait continues to slowly move to the east, and looking at the 18Z run of the HRRR model, moderate to heavy snow is ongoing across western Colorado, central, southeastern Utah, even northern Arizona and northern New Mexico, and light snow across portions of Nebraska and northeastern Colorado. Progressing the model forward as we go through the evening, heavy snow is going to increase across central Colorado and central and northern New Mexico, and areas like Albuquerque through Santa Fe and Taos could be receiving heavy snow by the time we go into about 8 to 9 o'clock Mountain Standard Time this evening, with light snow ongoing across northern Kansas through South Dakota and central Nebraska. As we go through the overnight into tomorrow morning, snow is going to continue to push east across northern New Mexico into the Texas-Oklahoma Panhandle and western Kansas into eastern Nebraska. And then as we go into about 8 a.m. Central Time, 7 a.m. Mountain Time tomorrow morning, snow is going to push across most of Kansas, moderate to heavy, into northwest Oklahoma, the Texas Panhandle, light snow pushing into Iowa, with freezing rain and sleet mixing in across the Texas Panhandle into northwestern Oklahoma. And then as we go into about 1 p.m. Central Time tomorrow afternoon, looking at likely heavy snow across most of Kansas into northwest Oklahoma, with a light to moderate snow moving into northwest Missouri, southwest Iowa, and continuing in Nebraska with the light snow. And then as we go into Saturday afternoon and evening, heavy snow pushing into Missouri, light to moderate snow in Iowa, heavy snow continuing across Kansas. And then as we go into midnight, early Sunday morning, snow is going to push into the northern half of Missouri, southeast Iowa, southeast Minnesota, into Wisconsin and Illinois. And this is where I'm going to stop the model for this video. Looking at snowfall accumulations over the next 24 hours, or the next 24 to 36 hours, we are going to be seeing a lot of areas receiving between a dusting and 2 inches of snow across North South Dakota, Minnesota, Iowa, Nebraska, Northwest Kansas, Eastern Colorado, Northern New Mexico, the Texas Panhandle, into portions of Missouri and the grays. In the blue areas across southeastern Iowa through northwestern Missouri, western central Nebraska. Going to be looking at another 2 to 6 inches of snowfall accumulation in the HRRR model. And then as we start going towards central Kansas, we could be seeing as much as 5 to 8 inches of snow in the dark blues and purples. So make sure you're preparing for a heavy dosing of snow if you live across northern Oklahoma and central, even eastern Kansas, including Topeka and Wichita tomorrow, as well as Kansas City, with snowfall accumulations in the low to mid elevations of northern New Mexico, Colorado, and Utah of 2 to 6 inches, and the higher elevations of about 1 to 2 feet of snow, including areas like Santa Fe and Taos. Now, looking at the latest National Weather Service's watches, warnings, and advisories map, winter storm warnings continue across southern southeastern Wyoming, southwestern Colorado, the mountainous areas of northern New Mexico, even some across northeastern Arizona, western Nebraska, and central and southern Kansas in the pinks, with winter weather advisories in the purples across portions of Colorado, Utah, Arizona, northern New Mexico, the far northern Texas Panhandle, northwest Oklahoma, much of Kansas, southern and southeastern Nebraska into northern Missouri in the purples. Make sure you're preparing for snowfall, especially if you live in these warning and advisories areas. Looking at the latest radar for Winter Storm Cait, we are seeing light to moderate snow as of 5:05 p.m. Central Standard Time this evening across much of Nebraska into southern South Dakota, southeastern Wyoming around Cheyenne, with moderate to heavy snow bands across the Rockies of Colorado, northwest New Mexico, some around Flagstaff, Arizona, and into southern Utah. These snow showers will continue for the next 4 to 6 hours in the Four Corners and slowly move east into Colorado and New Mexico through the overnight hours. Now looking at the NAM-NES model, the timeout, the snowfall, very similar to the HRRR, with heavy snow bands moving across Colorado and central northern New Mexico, eastern Utah tonight, and a band of heavy snow or moderate snow across Kansas into Nebraska. And then as we're going into about 6 to 7 a.m. tomorrow morning, snow spreads across most of Kansas, Nebraska, South Dakota, continues in Colorado and New Mexico, and the difference between the HRRR and NAM-NES model is the NAM-NES model puts a band of freezing rain across the Texas Panhandle into northwestern Oklahoma tomorrow morning. And this freezing rain could last a good 4 to 6 hours. So make sure you're preparing for icing if you live across Texas Panhandle, northwest Oklahoma, even southeastern Kansas, as we go into around 12 p.m. to 1 p.m. tomorrow afternoon, with heavy snow moving across much of central northern Kansas into eastern Nebraska by this point. Going into the afternoon, snow spreads into Iowa, northwest Missouri, southern Minnesota, and then as we go into the evening and into midnight, early Sunday morning, snow spreads into southeast Minnesota, Wisconsin, all of Iowa into northwestern Illinois, northern Missouri, and continues across eastern Kansas and northern Oklahoma. Looking at snowfall accumulations in the NAM-NES model, the NAM-NES model is very similar to the HRRR, with a dusting to 2 inches in the gray areas across much of the central northern plains into Minnesota, Iowa, northern Missouri, into portions of Illinois, portions of western Wisconsin, into portions of Iowa could see or are going to be seeing 2 to 4 inches in the NAM-NES model, as well as southwestern Nebraska, northeastern Colorado, in the Rockies of Utah, Colorado, and northern New Mexico, likely seeing a good 6 inches to 2 feet in the higher mountainous terrain. In the mid to lower terrain, a good 2 to 6 inches of snow. And then once again across Kansas, we're going to be seeing the heaviest snowfall accumulations of 4 to 8 inches across central Kansas through southeastern Nebraska. And looking at the freezing rain accumulations in the NAM-NES model, a glaze of ice is going to be likely across eastern New Mexico through the Texas Panhandle, northwest Oklahoma, southern Kansas. Could be seeing isolated ice accumulations of 1/10 to 1/4 of an inch as well. So make sure you're preparing for treacherous travel conditions tomorrow morning across these areas due to the ice. Thanks for watching this evening's winter weather update on Winter Storm Cait. Make sure you're preparing for mild to moderate winter weather conditions over the next 24 hours, especially if you live across Kansas, Nebraska, and Missouri. Thanks for watching. Please stay safe and have a wonderful evening, my friends.